vague, yeah.
Okay.
Here you go.
So my thoughts on gap years and what I think of them. Basically, a lot of students now are thinking of gap years. It's become more and more common for a student to think, okay, after I finish year 12, I want to relieve the stress and I want to go overseas. Camp America is popular. In terms of gap years, I think less and less is it necessary to have a gap year, because what a lot of the universities are doing now as part of university courses is offering international exchanges. And a lot of the students who previously went on gap years were looking to have some sort of international experience before they started their university year. They can now have that during their university course. So gap years are still popular. I think they'll always be popular with students as they're going through year 12, but I think a lot of students change their mind when they get to their holidays, because there's a large gap between finishing school and starting university anyway. Because you finish in November, you start in March, and that's quite a break, and a lot of students seem to be ready to go back to some form of study or work. So a lot of them who initially say during year 12, I'd love to have a gap year and I'm going to have one, generally speaking, a lot less people take one than say they're going to take one. And now, as I say, they can actually go on international exchanges through their uni course.
Cool. And under what circumstances would you recommend / not recommend taking a gap year?
Look, I think it really depends on the individual. A gap year is if it's something that someone's always looked forward to and they think, well, I need to spend a bit of time just getting my head clear and making up my mind about what I want to do, then a gap year is really valuable. Some parents, I think, are afraid that if their son or daughter takes a gap year, they're going to forget how to study or not want to ever go back to study. But I don't think it necessarily happens that way. I think, yes, it can happen. You know, people can sort of think, oh, I've got a part-time job, I'm earning a bit of money, maybe I won't go to uni. But most students who take a gap year properly do it with the intention of always coming back to study. So I think it can be quite valuable. I wouldn't recommend a gap year. There's under no circumstances that I'd not recommend a gap year. I think it really would be talking to that individual and saying, well, why are you taking it? Like I say, a lot of people this time of year, week 6 of term 3, because that's the most stressful time of year 12, they'll say, oh, I think I'll take a gap year. And I usually take that with a pinch of salt, and I'll ask them at the end of the year after they're relaxed and they've been away on schoolies and all that sort of thing, are you still going to take a gap year? And most of them have changed their mind.
Yeah. In your opinion, what are the disadvantages / advantages of taking a gap year?
I guess the advantage of taking a gap year is that chance to really clear your head and think carefully about what you really want to do and give yourself more time to do the research about what you really want to do. I think that's a big advantage. Also, I guess gaining just a little bit more maturity, meeting more people, a diverse group of people. I think at school you sort of hang around with your friends. If you go straight to uni, you might still hang around with those same friends. Not that that's a bad thing, but it might be good to just branch out, meet some new, different people, and then come back to uni with a broader mindset and a broader range of experiences. The disadvantages of taking a gap year, I guess, are that maybe you will, get out of the habit or the regimentation that's involved in doing study effectively. At school and especially in year 12, your time management's really crucial, and a lot of students will develop their time management skills really well, and then when they have a gap year, it all disappears again and they've got to crank themselves up to get it back again. So the disadvantage, I guess, could be that you really have to psych yourself up and motivate yourself to get back into that sort of regimented style of living where you've got to set aside time for study, and you haven't had to do that during your gap year. You've been able to relax the whole time.
Yeah, and what is your advice for someone inquiring about taking a gap year?
Yeah, basically I just get them to weigh up all the factors. Usually I encourage them to make an application to university anyway. If they think they're going on a gap year, I'd say to them, well, why don't you apply for entry to university and get the offer, because you can always say no, or you can always defer it. That is, you can put it off for a year. And that way you've got your university offer already happening, and if you change your mind, or if you go away for a while and you come back and still the university year hasn't started, or you'd like to start university halfway through the year, which is a big option now. Lots of people start university in June and July now. you actually don't have to wait the whole year. You can actually get going and get into the course you want. So really I just give them the advice about taking their time to really think about whether they want a whole year off, what they're going to do with that time, and whether it's going to be constructive use of time. If it's for travel and international travel, I think that's a great idea. If it's just to, do your part-time job and just mill along like you normally would, then sometimes there's not much to be gained by that. So I'll look at it individually and give advice based on what their motivation is for having a gap year.